Are you ready for the next meme within this market? Well, there's actually a big one about to occur, and in fact, we're going to be going over why. It's probably already occurred, in fact, and there is something maybe adjacent that is better to be looking at. And with that said, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Saturday morning. When is it not a nice little Saturday morning? Well, sometimes it's not actually, but today's a big one, and you know what? It's not going to be a skill Saturday, unfortunately, because my beautiful thumbnail editor is out partying. What kind of nonsense is this? You're supposed to have no friends and no life and be in cryptocurrency land, but you know what? That's fair enough, and you know what? We can just get into the content of the day. So first things first, I want to start it off with the new meme, and that is the golden cross on the daily time frame, which is the 50 simple moving average versus the 200 simple moving average. We're looking at that green 50, that is the slower moving average, the fast moving average, and the white 200, which is the slower moving average. And they are very close to getting what is known as the golden cross, where the lower period crosses the upside of the higher period. Now we can actually use one of Caretaker's moving average indicators over here to estimate the price that would need to be closed above at today's daily in order to force that cross, which is probably unlikely, but you can see that it would require a closure above 46,872. Unlikely to happen today, I do suspect, but that number will, of course, come closer and closer and closer to current price action the more days that set in, especially as Bitcoin is above both major moving averages. So this is more or less inevitable, especially as long as Bitcoin is above about 28,500, and that also would imply that long-term there is a base around 28,500 that Bitcoin theoretically should not go below, or at least for a very long time. Or you can just kind of look at this, prior base that Bitcoin set in while these moving averages were converging on each other as relevant, which would be more like 26,000 bucks. Again, on a higher term time frame closure, that is significant, obviously, because that is where Bitcoin is essentially set in that prior higher low, or the current higher low that it's working off of, as it does march upwards and onwards from this region. But we can go ahead and look throughout the annals of history for Bitcoin as to what the golden cross is meant for Bitcoin. I marked them off with the cyan vertical bars right here. It's not a perfect thing. It's more of like a long-term thing in the sense that, once it does happen, it does imply that, hey, the long-term trend is switching in favor of the upside. Just as, on the opposite side, if you get a death cross, it's switching in favor of the downside. Again, not always perfect. There are some traps along the way, but there is a bit of rhyme or reason to it as well. And then we're going to go over probably a better way of looking at this that's actually more convenient for Bitcoin as of right now. So you can see starting off, I kind of marked this one off over here, although technically speaking, not necessarily in there, but it just didn't really have enough price action history to kind of populate it properly. But in this case, this was leading up this whole run from about 2010 to the highs of 2011. This was really a phenomenal run, and why I'm not going to be doing a dissection of the statistics on this is because you get crazy numbers like this, especially for the earlier ones, and even some of the more recent ones as well, where it's like a $20,000% move, or actually, sorry, 200, almost closer to 200,000% move. Not bad. I would like that one, but probably unlikely to see something similar in our current iteration. Then it gets a death cross. In the earlier times for Bitcoin, it was a terrible timer of the move, and I'd even say just in general, it's not the best timer of things. It's more of, again, a long-term thing, kind of talking about the next few years of price action, really, or year to like 3 years. Then again, we get the same thing in February of 2012, and what do you know? That was this phenomenal run where Bitcoin went basically all the way from $5 to $1,200, another 22,000% move. Not bad. Yes, you do get some, some fake outs like we did see over here. I would say, however, there is a rhyme or reason with a lot of these fake outs, with a lot of these traps, and that is this: when you see that when you see a death cross after a very long golden cross, as you see right here, usually the next golden cross after that one fails, and you're actually in death cross land. And realistically, this is to be respected all the way down, and it usually takes about 2. That's kind of like the going rate as things start to even out. And then what do you know, over here, golden cross again evens its way out, and boom, humongous, tremendous run as Bitcoin goes all the way from where it goes from, like, $300 to $20,000, another 6,000% move right there. Just astronomical. And then same thing over here. Death cross, boom, all the way down. First golden cross, major move, yes, but did fail. Then you had, you know, a bit of a black swan over here. So would this one have actually happened if you took that away? Well, you can't really pontificate on such things. But of course, the next golden cross after that, again, phenomenal move as Bitcoin goes from about 8,500 all the way to, you know, 62,000, 63,000, about a 600% move right there. So, you know, you're seeing the degree at which these go to the upside severely diminish over time, as you would expect. Bitcoin's no longer trading at like, you know, 1 cent. It's trading at 5 digits. Fucking insane, man. And then of course a more recent one over in 2021, boom, new all-time highs. Yeah, it wasn't as big as the other ones, but decent move nonetheless, 50% move to the upside, and then big bad death cross all the way down. We got our first golden cross back in February, and Bitcoin, you know, made some new progress on that. Got a death cross more recently in September. We specifically said on this channel that, hey, that is not the one that you're looking for. That first death cross after a weekly reversal and a golden cross prior to that is usually going to fail, just like the first golden cross after a weekly reversal plus a death cross usually fails as well. That's your trap. And this one, you know, so far was a pretty damn good trap, as Bitcoin already up almost 10,000 bucks from that low. Anyways, the reason why I say that's all of this is probably not necessarily hearsay, but it's just like there's better things to be looking at. I would put a lot more weight on exponential moving average crosses, and in this case, we can put on the 255 EMAs. And what do you know? When Bitcoin was hanging around those September lows, they got very, very close to each other, but they still remained in their golden cross fashion. And this one kind of, you know, does a generally better job at getting things. It'll alert you of the cross a little bit faster, and in this case, this is actually a much better what's the word that I'm looking for? Example of what you're looking for, because you want to see them kind of converge into each other on what would be a higher low, and then maintain that posturing, and of course diverge as Bitcoin in this case, you know, plays out the golden cross direction to the upside. Again, you know, basically noting this $26,000 region as like a major low. But again, you know, you would have saved yourself a little bit of pain if you use these instead of simple moving average crosses. Again, it's not perfect, but it does get things a little bit earlier and a little bit better for the most part. Anyways, that's probably the next big meme within this market. I think we can go to the next major chart over here. Let me just cough my way out of this one. And that is CME weekly. I'm losing my voice right now. I sound like a raspy lesbian, but it's 2023, and that is in. Actually, no, it's not necessarily in. Lesbians were so 3 years ago, or like 5 years ago. Now it's thems and theys. So I haven't figured out one for that just yet. They call me Butch. Anyways, in this case, CME has already closed the weekly as of Friday. Two major things going on right here. First, new weekly highs on the year, close and above. More importantly, this upper boundary that CME has been living below ever since, you know, May of 2022. Some might call this a W formation. Some might call this a ascending triangle. I call it a Jesus toast, or it's not necessarily Jesus toast. It's an uptrend, right? It's higher lows. But this breakage is happening on relatively extreme volume. The highest volume that CME's seen basically since that first big bank failure that we saw in March, right? March of this year. So that is significant. And I would say that would imply that, yeah, we probably do see continuation on top of this. Yes, we've already seen pretty much a gap fill over here, as well as one of our major fibs getting hit alongside that as well. So losing my voice there. But there would be implied move based off this formation, you know, a little bit higher towards 39, maybe 40,000 bucks. So I think overall the rally does continue to the upside in the coming month. Probably going to be maybe another week of sideways, coming into next week. But ultimately, my main message still stands. As long as Bitcoin's above 32,500, up is the direction, and continuation is much more likely than reversal. Below 32,500, okay, things start to change around a little bit for me. That's my first major warning flag. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would have to see it first, but maybe I would get pretty damn bearish below there. I mean, obviously, as of right now, below 26,000 bucks is like phenomenally bearish, but 32.5 would be that first major warning flag, and it would not necessarily be like immediately bullish anymore, at least in the way that I look at things. Anyways, yes. Also on that topic, we do see hidden bullish evidence confirmed on that last local low, and the weekly RSI is going to be trading back above the highs of what we did see from November of 2021, and then also these April 2023 highs. And I would say that overall, this is, as you might be looking at, one massive inverted herp and derp over here. Left shoulder, double left shoulder, head, double right shoulder, and here's your neckline right here. Well, that would imply that, we probably do see this one, break out higher as far as RSI goes, which would imply that price action also breaks out higher. Now, here's the thing. You can't really make measured moves on this because obviously it wouldn't make sense. Like, you'd literally be above 100 as of right now, and you can't get that on an RSI, so that's an issue. But we can see, like maybe if it gets all the way to 80, we can start to look at, what sort of price would that correlate to. And over here, according to Caretaker's RSI, that would be in like the, that would be in the $40,000 range. So I still think that that's, it's not that far off, and that would still, again, very well correlate, with these major areas that we did see from April and May of 2022. I think also the 618 is kind of around there, a little bit lower than there to be fair, but somewhere in that range, is still kind of where I'd be looking at. And again, we're coming into the end of the month here as well, and Bitcoin's gonna have a chance on the monthly to close basically above the summer rejective highs. That's confirming this is a higher low on the monthly, the first higher low that Bitcoin's really seen since last market cycle. So not bad, right? Anyways, yep, we can get into some HPDR bands over here. Again, this is why I do say things could very easily trade sideways for a little bit longer. We are seeing the ranges step up. Bitcoin was, previously resting on the 90% range, now on the 80% range as they do, go up a little bit. But realistically, does it come down and test somewhere around the 50% range high first? And does that step up in the coming days as Bitcoin goes sideways here? I think maybe that's a little bit more likely, but just it'll take time, obviously. Could be something like this, right, where it goes blah, 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 blah. This one catches up here, and then boom, something like that. Could make sense, and that might take, more days, basically. So other than that, it basically says the same thing as what I was saying before. 32.5 or even just $32,000. As long as Bitcoin's above there, direction is to the upside. Bitcoin can pull back in the meantime, completely fine. Just don't want to see it below like 32 or 32.5, depending upon when Bitcoin would approach that small downside move yesterday to 33,300. It looks like I saw a lot of people get really crazy about this one on social media, which is very interesting. It's like we're seeing the opposite but equal version of shitcoin holders when they hold a shitcoin that goes down 99% and then it goes up 1% and they're like, see, I fucking told you, man, should have held, idiot. But now it's like just bears with Bitcoin being like, first off, how high has it gone since the lows? I just want to see for myself for an exact number. Okay, 133%. Up 133%, down like 2%. You fucking idiots, it's going to 15. It's like, all right, fair enough. Not my first target based off a move like that, but cool. I see you've done your research. Most analysts on fucking Twitter call themselves technical analysts or some sort of analysts. What they really are is they are news analysts. Pontificating upon subjective news headlines that they don't even know how to interpret anyways, because no one knows how to interpret them, because nobody has an objective interpretation of many of these things, because there isn't one, because two people can witness the same event and have completely different outcomes or completely different conclusions from them. I see it in the Discord all the time. It's like you can spin any narrative bearish, you can spin any narrative bullish. It's amazing. It's fucking amazing what the human condition can do. Holy shit. When will people learn their lesson? News, it doesn't fucking matter. Or it's not that it doesn't fucking matter, but it gives you very little edge, if any at all. Probably does more harm than good. Anyways, yeah, so there we go. All right, let's see. Now that I'm off that topic, yes, we did get a new 5-day closure last night. Volatility is expanding. 5-day stochastic oscillator remains positioned to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above 31,750. All right, pretty close to 32, so I'd still be sticking with that $32,000 region as very much relevant. basically for, remaining bullish below 32. I guess I'd have to switch around to be bearish, or at least not bullish. I wouldn't be bullish. I'd have to be like neutral. Anyways, 2-day time frame. Going to be showing upside pressure above 31.7 as well. Actually, interesting. We see the same numbers there. Daily time frame will also show upside pressure above 33.6. Do keep in mind though, we're going to see extremes here. That's also why I do say this. This rally could very easily consolidate for like another week in this region. Bore the shit out of people, which is the best way to do things, and then move again. As well as extremes on volatility here. Anyways, moving down to the 12-hour, downside pressure below 34.7. 6-hour time frame going to be showing downside pressure below 34.6. 4-hour time frame upside above 33.7. Hourly upside above 33.9. Not really getting much agreement here, so I'm inclined to say a bit more sideways is like the name of the game. Anything above 32 is good for the Bulas. Below 32, bad for the Bulas. Good for the Beras. Not necessarily good for the Beras, but just more neutral, yeah. Anyways, I'll shut things off there. I realize that I've already ran my video a little bit too long, but that's okay. And with that said, as always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.